Welcome to the Energy Medicine Summit, where you'll discover how to take your health into your own hands from today's top energy medicine experts and healers. Share this event with your friends and family, and come join us on Facebook at the Shift Network. And now your host, Kris Ferraro.
Hello, everyone. Have you ever thought about how much your emotions influence your health? It's something that I think about a lot. Our guest today is Dr. Bradley Nelson, a veteran holistic physician and one of the world's foremost experts on natural methods of achieving wellness. He has trained thousands of certified practitioners worldwide to help people overcome physical and emotional discomfort by releasing their emotional baggage. His best-selling book, The Emotion Code, provides step-by-step instructions for working with the body's energy healing power. Welcome, Dr. Brad. I'm so excited that we're going to be speaking today.
Well, thank you, Kris. It's really great to be here.
So, Bradley, you're going to be speaking about how the body code uncovers root causes of discomfort in body and spirit. And that's something that you and I have in common, is looking for the root causes of what is behind a condition. And so I'm so excited that we are going to be talking about body code. This is something that I use myself and very much love. So let me talk a little bit about that. The body code is a revolutionary energy balancing system intended to help you uncover root causes of discomfort, sickness, and suffering in body and spirit. The goal is to help you identify the underlying causes of your physical or emotional concerns, then release them so you can start feeling great and living life again. And I will say quickly, this is a very quick method, which is a very big bonus about it. Anyone can use this method to find and release imbalances in the body for yourself and others. So, Dr. Brad, before we get into body code, what is your perspective on the nature of energy healing and how that works?
Well, it's actually really simple. You know, the quantum physicists like Albert Einstein have been trying to tell us for over 100 years that we are beings of pure energy. So these bodies of ours, even though, you know, they're made of skin and bone and muscle and nerve and so on, organs and glands, et cetera, really, all of that is made ultimately of nothing but pure energy. And if you think about the body in that way, if you can wrap your mind around that idea, then it makes sense that working with the body as a being of energy, using energy, removing energies that shouldn't be in the body, balancing the energies that are in the body, that all makes perfect sense, really. And what we are finding is that it absolutely is the ultimate way to work with the body. Of course, Western medicine will always be needed, you know, and people will probably always need some kind of medication, et cetera, painkillers or whatever, and that's great. We have those things. But the reality of it is the vast majority of the time, we don't need drugs. We don't need surgery. We just need to have our field balanced. We need to have imbalances that are in the body removed, things like trapped emotions. We need to make sure that we are assimilating the right things, that we've got the right nutrients, that we don't have all kinds of toxins in the body, that the meridians are balanced, that the chakras are balanced, that all of these components of the body are functioning like they should be, and that we are as free of imbalances as we can be. And to me, that's really how the game needs to be played. In other words, this game or this idea of helping yourself or helping other people to be really totally healthy. What I found when I was in practice is that what makes us sick is the imbalances that we suffer from. And I wrote the Emotion Code because I found that the single biggest, most common imbalance that everybody was suffering from, all my patients, no matter how old or young they were, no matter what their symptoms were, was actually their emotional baggage. Trapped emotions. How that works, just in a nutshell, is that when you are experiencing some intense emotional event, your whole being can be vibrating at the vibrational frequency of that emotion. So if you're feeling really angry, or you're feeling deep depression or grief or sadness, whatever it might be, your whole being can be vibrating at that particular frequency. Every emotion has a frequency. They're all different. And if that emotion is powerful enough, then when the event is over, the bully moves away, or you finalize the divorce and move on, or whatever it might be, yet you can carry with you some of that emotional energy. And we refer to that as a trapped emotion. We all have trapped emotions. And a trapped emotion is literally a ball of emotional energy from about the size of a baseball to about the size of a cantaloupe. If you can imagine, they're invisible. Took me a long time to figure this out because you can't see these, but they have very, very profound effects on us, both in how we feel emotionally, and how we function in our lives, how much we're able to achieve or not achieve, the relationships we end up having, and how healthy we are. And so that's what's in the Emotion Code book, is just this very simple, extremely rapid method that anyone can use to find that emotional baggage and get rid of it. Now, what the body code is about is it's about the other kinds of imbalances, all of the other kinds of imbalances that we suffer from as human beings. And there can be a lot of things that can imbalance us. Things like pathogens, little infections that can get into the body. Nutritional deficiencies can be a problem. Toxicity can be a problem. Imbalances in the circuitry, the systems of the body, and so on. Structural misalignments. All of those things contribute to a loss of health. And all of those things can be addressed and found by using the body code. And that's really the key to the Emotion Code and the body code, is that we can find these things because, you see, the subconscious mind within each one of us knows exactly, with a perfect understanding, what we need. And it knows if we're deficient in a certain vitamin or mineral. It knows if we have some kind of a parasite living in the body. It knows if we have a misalignment in some organ or gland or bone or other tissue. It knows if we have emotional baggage. It knows when that baggage occurred, who was involved, what it's causing in the body. And so the body code is this organized way of finding these imbalances. And in order to find those imbalances, you have to tap into the subconscious mind, which is where all the good information is. Consciously, we don't really remember much, right? So, Kris, let me ask you, have you forgotten anything recently that got you in trouble?
Yes, as I do the body code for myself, I find some really fascinating things about myself. It's almost like I'm taking a regular trip through my timeline, through different areas of my life. And, we all have those. We all have emotional trauma, bad breakups, anything that happened in childhood. I'm glad that you mentioned the bullying. That's a real big, strong thing that affected my life personally, and I know affects many others. And so it's really, really important that we get rid of that stuff. And so I'm curious as to why you think some people carry these things forward while others can just sort of let it roll off their back. Like, what's the difference between someone like myself who has had a lot of trapped emotions versus someone who maybe that stuff doesn't affect them as much?
Well, I think that it has to do, I think, partly with how we're raised. If we're raised in a calm sort of household, for example, where not a lot of things tend to go wrong, if you're lucky enough that you end up not being bullied, if things go pretty smoothly for you, and you have that kind of constitution where you don't tend to get emotionally upset, you'll develop less emotional baggage. If you're like most people, though, you fly off the handle periodically, and you allow things to upset you periodically, and so most people do end up having quite a bit of emotional baggage. But that's just part of being human, I think. And luckily now we know how to find and get rid of that baggage pretty easily.
That is absolutely key, because I think that, the times of the past have been, if we have a problem and we decide to get professional help, I'm not saying anything bad about therapy. Therapy can be very beneficial for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. It can help people to get a lot of clarity about where some of their stuff comes from. And yet it's something that people usually do for very, very long periods of time, sometimes many, many years. And here we have something that has such an elegance to it. And so I would love for you to share how you find these trapped emotions, how you isolate these blockages so that balance can be restored. So how do you find them and how do you clear them?
Sure. Well, basically, we have to tap into the subconscious mind. And so in order to do that, what we use is various different methods of muscle testing, which are just a simple way of, they're really a method of biofeedback. What happens is your body, if you make a statement that is positive or true or congruent, your body will remain at its normal level of strength. If you say something, though, that is incongruent or negative or false, what will happen is your body will weaken just a little bit. It's not normally noticeable. However, if you are actually testing the strength of a muscle at that moment when you're asking questions and the body's responding with either strength for yes or weakness for no, then it's easy to find and discern those answers that are coming from the subconscious mind. And so I can show you how this works. If you'd like to, you had mentioned that you might want to maybe have me work on you remotely.
I would love that because it's so fascinating for people to be able to experience how quickly this works, what comes up. And I'm always willing to be a guinea pig. As a healer myself, we usually tend to love to be guinea pigs and experiment with things. And hey, the opportunity to have, the man himself, Dr. Brad, work on me, what an opportunity for that. I have no secrets, people. I'm willing to share it all.
Okay, good, because we don't know what's going to show up, right?
That's true.
So let's see here, Kris. You had mentioned that you have some congestion when we were talking earlier, that especially when it rains, you have some sinus
I do.
congestion.
The sinus pressure that comes up. I use a neti pot every day. I do a lot of sinus clearing herbs. I do sinus energy medicine balancing exercises on a regular basis. And yet when it rains, it seems to get activated and I get swelling around my eyes, congestion, postnasal drip. And it's something that I've been working on for a long time myself and haven't made as much progress on that I'd like to have be different, because here I am interviewing Dr. Brad and it's raining today. And I can't control the rain, but what I would like to control is balancing my body so I respond differently to it.
Well, what I have learned over all of these 30 plus years that I've been doing this is that anytime our body is responding, anytime our body is creating some kind of a symptom for us, anytime we're not functioning and feeling great, our body is giving us a message. So what's happening in your case is that your body is giving you a message that there is something wrong. Now, this congestion that you're getting is not the problem. It might seem like the problem. And in Western medicine, they would look at it as the problem and they would give you medication to try to, dry up your sinuses and so on. But what's happening is your body's trying to communicate to you that there's something else going on. Let's see if we can figure out what that is. So can I share my screen here with you?
Yeah, I would love for you to do that.
All right, great. So what we're looking at here is the body code. This is part of an app that we call the Discover Healing app. Discover Healing app. That's the name of our company, Discover Healing. This is available on Apple, the App Store, and the Google Play Store, and so on. But anyway, what we're looking at here are the 6 different kinds of imbalances, the 6 major categories of imbalances that cause all of our symptoms, whether they're mental or emotional or physical. So imbalances in these 6 areas are the things that cause all of our trouble. So what we can do is we can work on you, and we can work on you remotely. Quantum physicists say that we're really all connected in a very literal way in quantum physics. And so what we're going to do here, this work really came from above. During the years that I was in practice, I was in the habit of asking for help from up above from God with each person that I saw. And it was a totally private, totally personal thing. Nobody knew that I was doing that. But I'm going to take just a moment and just ask for some help from up above for us, okay?
I would appreciate that.
Okay, great. Just a momentary thing. We highly recommend it because if you ask, then you receive, right? So here's what we're going to do. Now, the human body has this amazing ability built right into it to set aside its own needs to act on behalf of someone else. And we call this working by proxy, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be testing, I'm going to be asking questions of your subconscious and getting answers on my own body. And I'll be using what we call the ring and ring method here. And what you'll see is that these rings, I'll be making 2 rings here. And when I ask a question, I'll test those rings. If the answer is strong, the rings will tend to stay together. If the answer is no, the rings will tend to break apart. The answers will be coming from your subconscious mind to mine and then manifesting on my physical body. And anybody can learn how to do this. There's nothing magical about it. We have kids doing it. So first thing I want to know is, are we actually connected at this point? Can I act as proxy for you? I get a yes answer. Okay, great. That's strong. All right. Now I can ask questions. Your subconscious mind will manifest those answers back to me. So I have no idea what this underlying reason is for the congestion and so on, but let's ask your subconscious mind, which knows, is there a reason for this? And the answer is yes. Now, there may be several underlying reasons, right? But right now, your subconscious mind has a reason in mind. Let's see what that reason is. Is that reason on the right side of our chart here? No. So it's on the left side. Now, the next imbalance might be on the right side. I don't know, but let's see what this is. Is it something in the energies area? No. So is it in circuits and systems? It is. It's in circuits and systems. So by the way, what I'm doing here is I'm actually, I have this on my phone. That's what you're seeing here. So you can download this and have it on your phone. We're going to go to the circuits and systems area. So I'm going to touch the one there in the middle on the left. And let's see now what shows up. So your subconscious mind is taking us to the imbalance. Is it something on the left side? No. So is it an organ or a gland? It's an organ. We're going to go to the organs area on the top right. Now here we have all the organs in the body. Is it something on the left side? No. Is it bladder or gallbladder? Is it heart or kidneys or intestines? Is something in the intestines? We'll go there. So is it something on the left side? No, it's on the right side. So what's showing up here is what we call the Iliocecal valve. Now, if you touch that, okay, then it brings up a whole explanation here. There's a little valve that controls the flow of fecal material from the small intestine into the colon. It's right above your appendix, about an inch or so away. And this little valve is supposed to open and allow fecal material to go into the colon on its way out of the body. And then it's supposed to close that door so it doesn't backflow. But sometimes what happens is the valve gets imbalanced, it gets short-circuited. And then what happens is you start to reabsorb toxins into the bloodstream that you should be eliminating, because now you're not really eliminating all that well. And so then what happens, if you look a little bit lower down here, look at this. These are some of the symptoms of imbalance. Now let's see if you have any of these. Discomfort in the appendix area, that's the lower right abdomen, okay? Discomfort in the low back, so you have that one. Also, this can create discomfort in the low back or right hip. You have those?
Both, yes.
Both of those, okay. And then, of course, we know you got sinus problems, and that's because you're reabsorbing those toxins. And so what happens is the level of toxins in the blood rises, and then pretty soon it starts to overflow through the nasal sinuses, you see. And so you get this, you can get postnasal drip from this. Sometimes people think they have allergies because they've got this nasal issue going on, when really the problem is in their iliocecal valve. So we can scroll down a little here and we'll figure out what to do with this, okay? We've identified the imbalance here. We've already decoded the imbalance. We know it's imbalanced now. And by the way, the reason why this causes trouble with your low back and your hip joint is because this valve is connected, as you can see here, to this muscle, the right iliacus muscle. And so there's a muscle, and in a future release coming pretty soon, we'll have pictures of the muscles. So anyway, let's go down to association. We'll ask, is there an associated imbalance that needs to be decoded? And actually, I get a yes. So in other words, there's something else going on this is kind of like if you take your car into a mechanic and because your check engine light's on, and he says, oh, well, there was no oil in your car. We filled your car up with oil. You're good to go. You might wonder, could there be some associated imbalance? Like maybe there's a hole in my crankcase. Maybe that's why I'm out of oil. You need to fix that, right? And to fix this ileocecal valve imbalance for once and for all, hopefully, we need to find the associated imbalance that's causing this. So sometimes things go in kind of a domino effect, right? So what's the next domino? There's definitely something else. So let's go back out to the home page by touching the little icon on the bottom left. And now we're looking for the underlying cause of the ileocecal issue. So what is it? Is it something on the right side? No, it's on the left side. Is it in the energies area? It is. So we'll go there. We're on the top left. And your subconscious mind is taking us to this. Is it something on the left side here? No. Is it an allergy or an intolerance? Those are no. Is it something emotional? Definitely. So let's go to that one in the middle on the right. And so is this something on the left side here? Yes. Is this a trapped emotion? It is. So we touch that one. And so we have 6 different kinds of trapped emotions that we identify in the body code. Let's see what kind this is. Is it one of these on the left side? No. Is it a common trapped emotion or shared or absorbed? This is an absorbed trapped emotion. That means that at some point in your life, you absorbed some emotional energy. There was someone that was connected to you in some way, feeling an intense emotion. You absorbed it from them. Let's see what emotion this is. So down on the bottom here, there's a little square, and we can touch that. It looks like a window, and that brings up the emotion code chart. So what emotion is this? Is it listed in column A? And the answer is no. That means it's in column B. Is it in one of the odd rows in column B? Yes. We have 15 emotions left out of 60. We know it's in 1 or 3 or 5 in column B. Is it in row 1 in column B or row 3 in column B? It's in row 3, column B. That's strong. So it's one of these, okay? Confusion, defensiveness, grief, self-abuse, or stubbornness. Let's see what it is. Now, you absorbed this from somebody, so this is not your thing, but theirs. So is this confusion? No. Is it defensiveness? No. Is it grief? It's grief. So it's an absorbed emotion of grief, okay? I'm going to make a quick note here. An absorbed emotion of grief. And so what we can do now is if we go back to our this emotional area, we found the emotion. So let's ask, is there anything else that we need to know about this? And actually, the answer is no. Now, if we wanted to, we could dig deeper. But one of the reasons why this method is so fast is that we ask that question. Do we need to know anymore? And if the subconscious mind says you don't need to know anymore, then guess what? You're done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a magnet, and I'm going to swipe this magnet 3 times, starting at my forehead, going over the top of my head, like so, okay? And what I'm doing there is I'm putting energy into the governing meridian, which starts at the tailbone, goes straight up over the top of the head to the inside of the upper lip. And we're putting energy, or I just put energy into that meridian to release that trapped emotion of grief. So let's ask now, did we release that trapped emotion? And we did. How did we find that? Well, we found it because we had found that imbalance going on in that ileocecal valve, right? So let's ask, did we correct that imbalance in the ileocecal valve? Is it balanced now? It is. Now, what I'd like you to do is, if you can, maybe just stand up and move around a little bit. If you can't, just take a deep breath. Either way, and let's tune into how your sinuses are feeling right now, and let's just see if we've made a difference so far.
Well, the listeners, the viewers may have heard me yawn, which is usually an indication for me that I've released something. So I felt and experienced that release for myself. And I am certainly breathing clearer through my sinuses, through my nose. There's no doubt about it.
Okay, good.
As I breathe in, there's less inflammation.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a little known thing that's one of the fascinating things that I learned that is in the body code. And what happened was, during the years that I was in practice, during the last 10 years, especially that I was in practice, I was seeing people, most of the people that I saw had been told there was really no hope for them. They were never going to get well. But by asking the subconscious mind what was really wrong, what the real underlying causes of these people's problems were, I was able to get pretty much all of them well, except just a couple of people over the course of about 10 years or so. I was in practice for about 20 years in one form or another. So the body code is very complete. In other words, if you touch any one of these areas, for example, if you touch the misalignment area, it takes you into a lot of different areas. You can go all the way down. You can drill down to the individual teeth. Okay. You can drill down to individual bones, for example, in the skull. And not only that, but everything is in here. And what happened with me was that about a year after the Emotion Code book came out, I woke up one morning and my mind was full of instruction. And the instruction was, you need to take everything that you've learned about natural healing and put it into a self-study course that anyone can learn and make it available to everyone, everywhere. And so that's really what the body code is. And you can find things like nutrients too. There are tables in here where you can find things. In fact, one of the great stories that I'll never forget was a woman who came in to see me. She'd been hospitalized for 5 days and she had this pain in her abdomen. And they had run every test known to man. Nothing was found. They finally released her because they couldn't find anything to do. So she came in to see me. And the first time I worked on her, one of the things that came up that I thought was an incidental finding was it went to the nutrients area as I'm testing her, and it went to chromium. So I said, I think you need chromium. We're out of it right now. I think you should get some. I didn't think much about it. The next day she came in and she's actually worse. And I mean, this lady was really in severe pain. And so I didn't know what else to do. So I got out the body code and I started asking her questions and getting answers. And out of all the thousands of possibilities, there's about 1,000 different nodes in here. It went right to chromium. And I thought, oh my gosh, I remembered that showed up yesterday. And I said, I want you to leave my office right now, go down the street to the health food store, buy some chromium, ask them for some water and take some right then. And she did. 20 minutes later, she's jumping up and down in my office saying, I'm fixed. That fixed me. The pain was instantly gone the moment she took the chromium. And she asked me, she said, how did that work? And I said, I don't know. Your body needed the chromium. I have no idea why. I still don't know why. But believe me, these bodies of ours are incredibly intelligent. They know exactly what we need. And we now finally, for the first time in history, have an interface really between the body and the outside world that will enable us to find out what it is that the body really needs. And you don't have to have any fancy equipment or anything. It's you just learn how to do a little bit of muscle testing and ask questions and get answers, and it's a lot of fun, as you know, right, Kris?
It is a lot of fun. And Dr. Brad, I'd love for you to speak a little bit more about muscle testing. Now, muscle testing was something that I'd known about for a number of years and struggled with finding a method that would work for me. And then I read the initial version of the Emotion Code book, and I thought, I have to be able to do this, so I'm gonna figure it out. So for me, I just set intentions for finding the right muscle testing method for me. And what I do is I use my leg like a hinge, like a lot of people use their arm. I use my leg and I push down on my thigh, and that's how I get muscle testing results. Could you give some tips for people on how to do muscle testing? Because I know that there's people that struggle with it.
Well, yes, there are a number of methods of muscle testing that we teach in the Emotion Code, and it is always a little bit of an art. It takes a little bit of practice to learn how to do it, but once you learn one method, then you can do all of them. If you're testing another person, you have them hold their arm out parallel to the floor. Of course, you ask them questions, and then you just press down on their outstretched arm. And there are some important things to learn about that as well. If you're testing yourself, there are a number of different methods. The method that I was showing you, the ring and ring method, works really, really well. There's a method where you have one finger on top of another finger, and you press down on that bottom finger. And that bottom finger will stay strong for yes, or it will weaken for no. There is, let's see. There's another method that we teach in the Emotion Code is where you basically just, it's not a muscle testing method so much, But this goes back really to ancient China, where you rub one finger pad on the other finger pad, okay, very lightly, and then you ask questions, and it will tend to stick. Okay, as you're sliding those fingers, making a circle with your fingerprints, it will tend to stick on either yes or no, and so you can pick up answers that way. You can use a pendulum, and generally, when you're using a pendulum will tend to swing straight back and forth towards you and away from you. For a yes, it'll tend to go sideways. For a no, sometimes in a circle. For maybe. It's really interesting. The key to all of these methods, though, there are some really important keys. The first thing I want to mention is if you believe in any kind of higher power, and we all believe different things, but if you believe in a higher power, take a moment before you do muscle testing and ask for some help. Okay, don't be shy, ask for help. If you ask, you receive. That's one thing. A couple of other things that I have noticed in teaching this for many, many years around the world. Most people use way too much force. And so you see, when you're doing muscle testing, it's not a force thing. It's really a finesse kind of a thing, where what you're trying to do is you're trying to detect the very subtle changes that are taking place in that person's body. Or in your own body when the answer is yes versus the answer being no. So there's that slight weakness that occurs if the answer is no. That's what you're trying to detect. So most people use so much force that it's hard for them to pick it up. I use almost no force at all now when I'm testing. The other mistake that people make that is so common is they tend to focus on their fingers. Now, Kris, can you type? Are you a pretty fast typist just by chance?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. So if you're typing along at maybe 60 words a minute, what happens if you start looking at your fingers and thinking about what they're doing?
It throws me off. It slows me up, no doubt. Right. Yep.
Slows you way down. You start making mistakes, etc. Your subconscious mind, really, your brain, it knows what to do. And so that's why people can get to, 120 or 150 words a minute, which is just, blazing speed. But if they think for even a moment about what their fingers are doing, they crash and burn. So the same thing with muscle testing. What you want to do is when you ask that question and you're going to get that answer, don't focus on the muscles. Don't focus on the fingers that are doing the testing. Allow that test to take place slightly disconnected from your focus. And instead, focus on the person. Focus on the question. And those are some tips that can really help you.
So glad that you shared those, because muscle testing has radically changed my life. I muscle test foods and supplements, and I'm just more in harmony with the way that I interact with the world. And it's turned me into what I call a human lie detector. I've become extremely intuitive, and I feel yeses and I feel nos, and I feel what is true and I feel what is not true. And that alone has helped me to direct my career and my relationships. So it's really altered myself. It's like it's cultivated this secret quality that we all have within us. And I will say that it's also made my intuition like spot on. And that's been, I think, a direct side effect of using emotion code and body code.
Yeah, it's a fantastic way to exercise your intuition. In fact, in the Emotion Code book, I talk about how muscle testing is like training wheels for your intuition, because when you start doing this work, what you'll notice is before long, you'll start noticing that a split second before you get the answer on the muscle test, you'll know the answer in your heart. It will just, or in your mind, it will just be there. And that's your intuition. And so what you can do is you can get to a point where you don't need the muscle testing. I have a daughter who's 20, and she learned how to do muscle testing when she was 13. She used it for about a month and then discarded it because she realized her intuition was so strong. She didn't need the muscle testing. The answers were she just understood the answers immediately, which, was kind of annoying for me, but it's fine.
out of the mouths of babes, right? Well, she probably had a lot less emotional baggage to deal with, right? So she's just a finely tuned, intuitive instrument, I'm sure.
Sure. Well, I've been working on her whole life and clearing whatever showed up. So I think that probably helped.
Well, Dr. Brad, I am so thrilled that you are with us today and sharing this incredible system. And I love that we got to see it in live action. I'm breathing better. I'm feeling good. And everyone can see how quickly that is, how quickly that worked. And also people can now experience the benefits of understanding that there are things that we carry through from experiences in our lives that we simply don't have to carry anymore. That those things can be isolated quickly using our subconscious mind, using the wisdom of our energy field, and we learn to then interact better with ourselves. We understand ourselves better. We understand why we may be reacting to something in the present, but is actually tied to some unhealed wound from the past. And I love how this has helped me to learn so much more about myself and furthered my own healing. And I'm just so excited that we'll be sharing it with even more people. So do you have any final thoughts? And is there anything that you'd like to share about how people can find you?
Well, people can, of course, buy the Emotion Code book on Amazon. It's available on audible.com as a recording. It's available in bookstores everywhere. And our website, our primary website, is at discoverhealing.com. And you can download the first couple of chapters of the Emotion Code book there for free. You can also go to emotioncodegift.com. And you get same thing. You can download the first couple of chapters. And I think it's the first couple of chapters on audio as well. So you can listen to the first couple, see what you think. And if you want to, at least you can that way you can kind of get a feel for what it's like. But, the bottom line is it's time for us. We're in this transformational time of the world, unlike anything that's ever happened before on this planet that we know of, where things are shifting at such an incredibly rapid rate. Everything is accelerating. And it's time for us to understand that these bodies of ours already have all the answers within us. And so the body code and the emotion code are just great ways to tap into that, figure that out, and start healing yourself. You can start healing your family members, your loved ones. And if you really like doing it, you can actually go through certification. We have about 6,500 certified practitioners now in about 80 countries around the world. And they can work from their home. They can work from their laptop. They don't have to travel, which is kind of convenient right now, right? And again, the body code is available. It's called the Discover Healing app, Discover Healing, and it's available on iOS and Android devices. So you can find that on the App Store or Google Play.
And for all of our animal loving friends, I do body code all the time on my animals, on my friends' animals, on people that I know. And animals respond like immediately. They're so much less complicated than we are. So if you're looking for something to help your animal friends, I've found to be a brilliant technique for helping them to feel better and heal. So Dr. Brad, thank you so much for being here. It's really been an honor. And I thank everyone who's listening and who's joining us from all over the world. We love you. We appreciate you. And we're so happy that we can further this information and get it out there when people need it now more than ever. There are so many skills and so much information available to help us at this time. Miracles are unfolding all around us. So I just say to everyone, please be well.
Thank you for joining us for the Energy Medicine Summit, brought to you by the Shift Network. To learn more, visit energymedicinesummit.com. To join our global community of people awakening to their divine humanity and taking inspired action, visit theshiftnetwork.com. Thank you again for gathering with us and for sharing this healing path with your friends and family.